Hello, hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to today's video. I have some powerful messages to share with you today in regards to the twin flame journey. So most likely if you were drawn to this video, you are a divine feminine on the twin flame journey because I'm going to be sharing some things specifically for the divine feminines. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Melissa. And this is the sacredness within you. I really created this channel to help as many women as possible rediscover the sacredness within them so we can really start cultivating and creating the life we truly desire, but also to bring deep healing to the inner feminine along with the feminine collective. And so I am a Reiki master and I'm an intuitive guide and coach. So oh man, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some things that Spirit had shown me, some things that they want me to share with you, and just really talk about various aspects of this journey. Because I really believe that there is a collective, a group of twins that will be coming together in union over the next, 6 months. And remember, union happens differently for everyone. How you and your divine counterpart come into union could be different than how my divine counterpart and I come into union. And even within union in itself, it can mean something different. Because oftentimes I hear coaches and other couples that are on the journey say that this is how you have to come into union. This is what you need to do. And I probably at various points in time in my journey, and I've been on this journey for almost 7 years. Next month it will be 7 years in December. And honestly, I am mind blown that it's been 7 years because it doesn't feel like it. And if you were to ask that version of me back then, if I would still be on this path and still be doing all this stuff 7 years from now, knowing that I'm not in union with my divine masculine, how would that make me feel? Oh, she would be on the ground crying, like, I don't want to do this for 7 years without him, you know? And so it just goes to show how much things can change. And that time is just really an illusion because it feels like with him, like time stands still. And, you always hear people say that you are together always and that we are always connected and nothing can really keep us apart. And that separation is just an illusion in the 3D. But I will tell you one thing, that the separation that my twin and I have had, it's much needed. It is. Like, do I wish that we have to go through that as twins? No, absolutely not. Like, I really hope that as more twins come into the time frame where they're meeting and stuff like that, that we can get to a time where we don't have to go through this long separation phase. And we don't have to go through all these phases that are out there, because I feel like from my own perspective, that can get us really caught up in the journey and thinking that we're doing something right or wrong, or feeling that we have to go through all these things in order to come into union. And remember, your soul knows the way. Your soul knows the way to union. And so when I look over the last 7 years, I probably have at different times listened to, followed, taken courses from at least six different twin flame coaches that have claimed that they're in harmonious union. Only 2 out of the 6 I've actually seen with their divine counterpart in terms of harmonious union. Like, they've been doing this work together and sharing their work and sharing their beliefs. The other ones I haven't. Not saying that they're not, but I just think it's really weird. But also too, if they're saying that this is the way to union, to use discernment, because there isn't just one way. There aren't certain things that you are going to experience as you get closer to union. And right now on TikTok, I see a lot of videos saying, divine feminines, you need to detach, you need to detach, you need to detach, you need to detach. And yes, we do. We need to get out of that waiting energy. And today, like as this was coming through, I was sitting at the bus stop waiting for the bus, and I was really anxious. And I was just like, oh, come on, like where is this at? Come on. It said 9 minutes when I left my house, and it takes me 5 minutes to get here. I've already been waiting 5 minutes. Like I was just in this anxious waiting energy, which created a lot of resistance. And then I just kind of like leaned back into my feminine energy and was like, well, the bus is gonna come when it comes. Like I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy the day, watch a little bit of snowflakes come down. Literally, I look up and there's the bus. And it's the same thing on our journey. You know, we have to get out of that waiting energy. We have to really start leaning into our feminine energy and really start creating the life that we came here to desire, that we desire. And I'm going to get more into that in a moment. But I hear, and this is the biggest thing that I want people to use discernment about that was coming through, is I hear so many times, you know, on TikTok videos that people will say, well, you know, you're coming into union when you're super detached, you no longer want to be on this path, you no longer identify as a twin flame, you want nothing to do with this path. And I will tell you right now, there has never been a time where I didn't want to be on this path. And there was a time where I tried to convince myself that I'm not a twin flame, like I'm not going to associate with that anymore, that's not going to identify me anymore. And I don't utilize it to identify myself, but I utilize it to be able to connect with others, to help others on this path, because I have learned so much of what not to do and what to do on this journey. And I'm going to share with you one thing right now that changed my dynamic in so many ways in terms of how I viewed this journey. Because out of my 7 years, I would say 6 of my years, I loved being on this path. I think the first 6 months were really hard. And then when I found out that my twin was in a new karmic relationship and he was actually married, that 6 months around that time frame was really hard as well. And I was just really angry, and I was so hurt because I wasn't listening to the guidance that I was actually given. And so I had to learn what I needed to learn. But otherwise, I viewed this as a beautiful journey of helping me truly become who it is that I am today. And I wish I would have known this earlier on my journey, but I couldn't because I was so much in my masculine energy earlier on in this journey. And the one thing I would say is to heal your inner masculine, heal your inner feminine, and embody your feminine energy as much as you can. And even if you're in your masculine energy, to allow your masculine to lead this journey. Allow him to lead, because that's masculine energy. Masculine energy leads, and it's straight moving, straightforward energy. Feminine energy flows. We kind of go this way, we go around, and we need the masculine to lead us, to provide that structure so we can evolve into the women that we are meant to be. And I had this download one day at the bus stop, and I think I've shared this in a previous video. If not, I've like talked about it like with other twin flame people that I know. Is in the community, it talks about how the feminine is always leading. The feminine is leading the journey, blah, 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 blah. well, that never resonated with me. It never did. And one day I got a download of saying, no, the masculine is leading this journey. Even if you don't think he is because he's in a karmic dynamic, he's actually leading it because he needs to go through that dynamic. And he knows, consciously or unconsciously, that he needs to go this way because it's going to bring healing to him. And it's also going to bring healing to you. And that he is leading, like they were talking to me about my divine masculine. They were saying he's leading you to heal the various parts of you by going through all these experiences that he's going through, sharing them with you. And then I needed to take whatever it was that he was sharing with me about things, taking all my triggers and all the emotions that were coming up with it to heal myself. Because when I heal myself, I also then heal him. But I focus on it from the perspective of healing myself because I want to come into my feminine power. I want to embody who I am. I want to love myself. I want to feel unconditional love for myself because I've had unconditional love for him. But the moment that I really started unconditionally loving myself on this journey and allowing him to lead, really changed everything for me. And one of the things that I used to do, and I do this quite often still, is anytime I had any contact with him, whether it's via text message or through a phone call or seeing each other in person, I would listen to him. We'd be having conversations, teaching one another about things, but I would listen to what it was that he was saying. And afterwards, I would go and write down all the things that he would say that kind of were like a red flag. Maybe I was judging him for it, or I was like, do I need to dive into this? Because remember, if your twin is showing you something about himself that you don't like, or perhaps is kind of like a red flag, most likely it's there to heal an aspect of you. And so I would be like, why is he so mad about the situation? Or why am I mad about this? Like, what did he say about, this? Like, I would reflect on things and be like, is there a part of me that also has that as well? So the example I like to use a lot is that he always says, I'm busy. Like, I've been really busy. And at first it would annoy me and be like, what the hell? Like, why does he say he's busy? Well, him telling me that brought me healing from when I was a child. My mom, whenever I would want to like get affection from my mom or spend time with my mom or need her help or something, she would say, I'm busy. And I would be like, but mom, you're just watching TV, or mom, you're just doing nothing. And when he would say it, it would bring up that same feeling that I had when I was with my mom, because I know that he always makes time for those people that were important in his life. And so then it made me feel like I wasn't important, which also helped me heal the dynamic between myself and my mom. And so it brought a lot of deep healing just with him saying that. Well, to this day, he still says, oh, I'm really busy. And in the past, he'd be like, I'm really busy, so I can't. But now he's just sharing it from a perspective of, I'm really busy. And so now when he says that, I think to myself, okay, like, what is that reflecting to me? And sometimes I think to myself, like, how can you be that busy, And then I think to myself, well, if he's saying that he's busy, where in my life am I saying I'm busy when I'm really not? Or too busy for myself, or whatever it may be. So that one phrase alone over the course of 7 years has brought so much healing to me. And even to this day, like he said it the other day, and I thought to myself, oh man, he's still caught up in that, like that action of being, like he's got to be doing. So then I say, where am I still doing that? Like, where I'm still in my masculine energy and thinking I have to do things. Another thing he said to me, this is another really great example of like really listening to when your masculine is talking. And he said, I feel like I'm breaking my back working so hard. And I thought, oh God, No, because I have been doing so much work around my money blocks and really like seeing money and how I create money differently. And I thought, oh gosh, no. And so then I had to realize, okay, where am I doing the same thing? Because if he has it within him, then that means there's a part of me that still has it as well, because he's showing me all the parts of me still that I can't see. And it is, I will tell you, once you can get to that point and let your masculine lead and allow him to show you all those places, it becomes really beautiful. And you start to see that this person, whether they tell you or not, loves you unconditionally enough to help you become the best version of themselves. And you're doing the same thing to them. So like when you think about your masculine, you probably see the potential in him and want him to become that person. So subconsciously we're doing things to help him become that. And they're doing the same thing. But the underlying energy of it is always unconditional love. Even when it doesn't feel like it, when they're just triggering us right in that spot where they know that they can get us, it sucks. Am I right? I'm right, right? Yeah, because there's times like early on in my journey, like he would trigger me and I'd be triggered for days. And now I'm like, yes, like, thank you for triggering me. Thank you for showing me this, because now I get to see a part of me that I couldn't heal that part. I get to integrate it, or I can release it, whatever it may be. So really allow your masculine to lead. And one of the things that has been coming up a lot in terms of my own journey is I have to remember that this is an energetic journey. So there are teachers out there that tell you that you can't sense what it is that your twin is going through. You don't know what they're going through, all this kind of stuff, and that there isn't this telepathy. I believe differently, because I will tell you, there are times when I can feel exactly what it is that he's going through. I can feel when he's sad. I can feel when he's like, going through something. I've recently discovered something that he was going through, because either he comes and tells me in my dreams, or I feel it energetically, or I receive a download of some sort. And these downloads that I receive to help me on my journey are simply for that, to help me on my journey and to understand that when I do the energetic work and the internal work within myself, it's going to influence him as well. But my focus is to be me. And my focus isn't to do something in order to get a result. Does that make sense? Because I can catch myself doing some things just to get a result. So I want to give you a couple examples. I think like 2.5 years ago, when I first moved back to the US, because I lived in Mexico for like 4.5 years. That's where my twin and I met. When I moved back here, because he lives here now, he moved here before I did. And I was meditating one day, and I had like energetically in my meditation release something that was happening between us. And no joke, in my meditation, I forgot to shut off my phone that day. I heard a message come through. And after, when I had looked at the message, after I was done meditating, it was him. And it happens that way with us. And this happens in the universe with a lot of different things. We will heal something or clear something, and it creates a reaction automatically within the universe. It's like a ripple effect of things that happen. And I was like, holy crap. So then I found myself doing things to get that response. And now, the last couple of weeks, I was like, ooh, I want to do this because I want to see if it works. Well, the universe isn't dumb, ladies. The universe isn't dumb at all. The universe knows when we're doing something purely to get something. And so it's about the intention of when you are doing something. Another example that they want me to give you is when you text your twin. And by the way, there's a lot of people out there that say that you shouldn't text your twin if you're the divine feminine. Like you should always make sure that it's your divine masculine reaching out, because if you're messaging him, it means you're chasing. There are times when I feel very guided and very called to text him. And sometimes it's just simply to say, hey, I hope you're doing all right. I haven't heard from you in a while. Or to let him know that he was on my mind, because there has been a couple times where he's been on my mind a lot. And there's a reason why for that. And I would reach out to him, and then it would open up a conversation. And it's all about the energy that you send the text message from. So when I was very codependent in the past, I would text message him because I could feel him like running from me, and I would want to hang on to. So I was messaging, excuse me. I'm clearly like clearing some of this stuff as I talk about it, whether it's for me or for the collective, I don't know. But I would message to get in return, and he wouldn't always message me back right away, and it would upset me. And now when I message, well, let me back up. There were times when I would message him to get a response and I wouldn't. And within that experience, there is healing and medicine within that as well. But now if I'm messaging, it's because there's a specific intention behind it. You know, like I'm genuinely concerned, or I'm reaching out because something I need to share with him, or I'm feeling about happening in our dynamic. And sometimes that can create healing within them as well. And it also, what I hear sometimes when I do this, it's like sending them synchronicities about things and about the dynamic, and reminding them of specific things. And so always it's about the intention that you're doing it from. And the more that you can align to your truth, the more that you can align to your true essence of who you are, and really embody your feminine energy and create the life that you desire, this journey is going to be really, really beautiful. And this is one of the big things that Spirit really wants me to talk about, because I see and hear so many times, and sometimes I just go into one post and I'll scroll and I'll read down and be like, oh my gosh, there are some disgruntled feminines out there. And I get it. This journey can be really, really challenging. But here's the thing. It's all about from your perspective. And it's all about what it is that you expect from this dynamic. And I've learned that if you have really high expectations of how things are supposed to happen, how things are going to unfold, you're going to have a very challenging time. And the more that I have been able to, whether on my twin flame journey or on my journey of ascension, look at everything from a childlike perspective, your mind is going to be blown every single time. I want you to think about a child. When a child is little, like a toddler and under, when they pick up something like a phone, like what are they doing? They're looking at it. They're trying to figure it out. They're like, and when they see certain things, they act as if they've never seen it before. They're like, oh my gosh, they get so excited. And they're trying to discover, what is this? Why is this here? What does it do? And that's how we have to start looking at our journey as a twin, and even on our path of ascension. Like looking at it from a childlike mind, being like, ooh, this is coming up. Like, what is this here? What is this here to teach me? And not, oh, this is so hard. This is painful. Because those two perspectives are completely different energies, you know? And if you open yourself up to allow the universe to surprise you and your divine masculine to surprise you, and you don't have any expectations on how things unfold and how things happen in your dynamic, you are going to be blown away every single time. I promise you this. Because for many of the divine feminines that are, you know, in this waiting energy, and I see people all the time saying, why isn't he showing up? He's not doing his inner work. Well, we have to remember the divine masculine learns and experiences life differently than us divine feminines. And we have to allow them to learn in alignment with themselves. Because of the two different energies, we learn very differently. We see life very differently. And so we have to allow them, excuse me, to navigate through their own journey and to trust in what it is that they are doing is for their highest good and for our highest good. And when you can do that and get out of that waiting energy, because some people will say, oh, I'm not waiting for him. But I can tell just by how they're commenting and the energy of that comment that they are. Because when you're not waiting for them, you're not even noticing that they haven't text messaged you or you haven't seen them in a month or two or however long it has been, because you're too busy creating the life of your dreams. And ladies, that's what you all need to start doing, is you need to take the focus from them and turn the focus to you and to start creating the life that you desire without them. And I know some of you are like, well, what happens if I leave them behind? You're never going to leave your twin behind. You're never not going to find each other again. I think about, I'm from Minnesota. My twin is from Mexico. We met in Cabo San Lucas, which is not even a city either one of us are from, because he's from a totally different state in Mexico. He's from Sinaloa. And to come to the Baja, he came there for opportunity. For me to go to the Baja in Cabo, I came there because I wanted a different life. And that's where we decided to meet. He came back, or he flew and moved to Minnesota, which is where I'm from, while I was still living in Cabo. I, at one point in time, had no connection to him, no phone number, because he got a new US phone number. He had blocked me on all social media. And the day before we were reconnected, after 6 or 9 months of not having any contact at all, the day before I actually switched my phone number. So the phone number that he had was no longer valid. And he had no way of contacting me via phone. So he had to unblock me on social media in order to get in contact with me. So the universe will always bring you back together when you are ready. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter how long it's been. And it's the same thing with anything in our journey. So ladies, you need to get busy creating the life of your dreams. You need to get busy loving yourself, making yourself a priority. Loving yourself, when I say that, it means unconditionally. All the flaws that you think that you have, you need to love those parts of you. You need to start be able to really take care of yourself and provide yourself with the life that you desire. Take yourself on dates, buy yourself the flowers, go on vacation by yourself or with your girlfriends or with other family members. Do all the things that you would want to do with him, or you think that you have to wait to do until you're with him. Go do those on your own. I'm going on vacation in January for 3 months. I'm not sad that I'm going to be leaving Minnesota for 3 weeks, not 3 months, but for 3 weeks. I'm not sad that I'm leaving Minnesota and he could potentially be here still. I'm not sad because I want to give myself that gift. I want to give myself the best vacation that I ever have in my whole entire life and enjoy it to the fullest extent. And I hope that he's doing something during that time that really makes him happy, even if that's working. He loves to work, And so what is it that you need to do to start creating the life that you desire? Because I think I've talked about this in other videos. But if not, I know I've said this to plenty of my people that I know that are twin flames on the journey. Is I look at my life as an ice cream sundae. And I want to create the biggest, the best, the prettiest, and the best tasting ice cream sundae I've ever had. So I'm adding all my favorite ice creams in there, all the toppings that I want, everything, right? And he is just the cherry on top. Because what does a cherry do? It makes it look a little prettier. It adds a little extra element to it. It brings some happiness to it, whatever it may be. He's the cherry on the top. So get busy making your ice cream sundae. And think about what is it that you're waiting for to happen until he comes into your reality, until you can do this with him. For a lot of you, and this is myself included, is that you need to create financial stability for yourself. Like, you need to be financially responsible in all ways. So paying your bills on time, creating your own financial abundance, stepping into your mission work if that's what you're feeling called that you need to do. Like, what you're doing right now isn't your mission in this life. Like, you need to step into that work and start taking that action in it. Getting yourself out of debt, really like being financially responsible and not relying on others to provide that for you. Because I see a lot of times, divine feminines still living at home with their parents or relying on their parents for money or support from others. Yes, there is a time and place where you need that, because I know I needed to. I needed to live with a couple of friends in order to get back on my feet. I needed to receive financial support from people in order to help me overcome some of these limiting beliefs that I had around money, and this belief that no one was there to help me, and just so much more. So there is a time and a place in it, and if you're there, it's okay. But do whatever you need to do in order to get yourself out of that situation and get your relationship with money right. Be able to financially support yourself in all ways. Because when you start focusing on you and turning all that energy to you, guess what starts to happen? You will start to see shifts in your dynamic that you would never expect. And I would love to be able to go into those things right now, but I don't want to because I don't feel called to right now. I will at some point in time in my journey where I feel like I'm in a place where I don't need to protect. Does that make sense? Because there is also a time and a place in your journey where you need to protect your union. You need to protect you. You need to be able to protect what it is that is happening within the dynamic, because there are forces, there are people, there are energies out there that do not want to see twins together. And I think that's a very important part of our journey that twins need to recognize, is not everything is all love and light. Like, we like to think everything is all love and light, but remember, if there's light, there's also darkness. And we have to be able to remember that. It's not that we need to be afraid of the darkness, because once we are afraid of it, that means we're in a lower vibrational energy. And when you are in light and you're in a high vibrational energy, you don't mind shining your light on the darkness, because through that light that the darkness is going to die, and so you have to just be aware of it being there. And so protect your union, protect, yourself energetically, and really start creating the life that you desire. All right. There is one more thing I want to talk about. And this one is really exciting because I would always think about in my path at certain times, like, how am I going to get to union? How am I going to get to union? Like, I was always trying to figure out how I am going to get to union, right? It's not my job. Ladies, it's not your job to figure out how you're going to get to union. That's the masculine's job. The masculine is the one that controls the union of when things are going to happen, because I feel like for those of you that are watching this and really resonating with this, like, you're in a place probably where your masculine is within a karmic dynamic, or perhaps finishing one up, or whatever it may be. But it's not your job to figure it out. Your job is to focus on you. Your job is to create the life that you desire. Your job is to continue healing yourself and ascending to the highest level of consciousness that you can, whether or not you come into union. And the more that you can do that, the easier it becomes, because it's his job. And believe it or not, the divine masculines are very, very intuitive. My divine masculine has ability that he has foresight. Like, he can see things that will happen in the future, and he speaks about them to share them with me. And he's like the compass in our relationship, in our dynamic, because even like I think about, I'll give you an example, is the very first day that I met my twin, he asked me like how long I've been teaching Pilates, and I had just moved to Cabo like 2 months before. And he was like, oh, I'll open you up a studio so you can teach. He's like, you should have your own studio. And to this day, he still believes that. And I'm not even Pilates certified anymore. I mean, I love teaching Pilates, and I know it's something that I need to get back into. And I asked him the other day, I said, why do you believe that? He's like, because you're good at it and you're passionate about it. And he's like, and I believe that you should do things that you're passionate about. And he's like, I still think you should do it. And he's like, that has never changed. But along the way too, he was also telling me, he's like, you're really great at coaching people and doing nutrition, and you're super knowledgeable about that. He's like, I think you should, do a business, with that. And here I am talking about spirituality and the twin flame journey. But what I realized through that, the messages that he gave to me, and then working with my own healers and coaches to help me on my path, is my journey and how I am of service to others is like multifaceted. Like I have a buffet, which is why my company is called The Holistic Being, because it's the name of my company, because it's whole, like holistic, like WH, not HO, because I want to be able to help people come into their whole self, and that's multifaceted because we're multidimensional beings. But also too, we have the spiritual component of things. We have the wellness component of things. We have the conscious relationships, whether it's romantic or friendships, or even family dynamics. But then to conscious parenting, all things that I'm super passionate about. So within that umbrella, there will be 4 or whatever types of ways that I'll be able to help people, but I have to start with one and then expand from there. And as I start with one and build that, I can build a team, that helps support me so I can do these other things. And so he was showing me that, and I would go back and be like, oh yeah, that's what I have to do. And he still to this day is like, you should still do that. And when I told him what I envisioned, he's like, yeah, that feels good. And there's other things too in our dynamic that he has spoken about in terms of things happening. Like one day I remember, and this is getting to my point of listening to your twins, your divine masculines, is because they will tell you things. I remember when I first met him, I had all these fears coming up about him leaving me. I was afraid that if he saw the real me, he wouldn't love me. Like all these things. And he just like laid in bed with me and hugged me. And he said, baby, don't worry about it. We're going to overcome all of that together. And in my mind, I thought, oh, for the first time, I'm going to have somebody working through these things with me. Little did I know that we would be working through these things together, but just not together. Does that make sense? Like through separation, we would be working through these things. So they give you the pathway to where it is that we need to go, but we can't attach to how it's going to happen. And so, which is leading me to my last point, is if you're wondering the path to union for you and your twin, most likely he has probably already shown you or told you. But because you're too busy leading and trying to figure it out, you weren't able to see it. And I remember the day that my twin told me this, but I had forgotten about it and I wasn't able to see it because I was too busy trying to figure out how I was going to get to union, too busy worried about what he was doing and not turning my energy to me, not focusing everything on me. And he told me, I think like 3-4 months after we broke up, because I was talking about it, I said, I think there's some things that we need to work on. If we did this, this, and this, we would have a really great relationship. And all those things that I said were true. And those are all things that we have worked on. But he looked at me and he was like, we still need time. He's like, there's things that we need to work on. We need more time. And I'm like, well, how much time? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I will know. He's like, maybe 3 months. I don't know. And I didn't want to hear that. And I was like, oh man. And I kept pressuring him and pressuring him and pressuring about it. And one day he looked at me and he said, I cannot be with you right now. And I was like, well, why? Like, I've been doing all this work. I've been changing for you. Mistake number 1, never change for them, change for you. And he's like, I can't. He's like, because you're not stable. I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, you need to become stable. You need to have stability in your life. I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, tell me more. And that's all he said. He was like, you need to become stable. And in my mind, I only thought of financial stability because that's the only way that I figured I needed to be stable. That's the only way that I defined stability at that time. And what I didn't know was that he was talking about stability in all aspects of my life. Like, I needed to have financial stability. And that's all I was thinking of. So once I got to financial stability at one point in my journey, he was like, no, I still can't be with you. And then I ended up blowing my money and having a lot of money issues, which is a whole nother journey in itself, is money. But I then had to go through this other deep healing and transformation. It wasn't until I think like 3 years ago that I really realized what he was talking about. Was I needed to be stable in all areas of my life, emotionally, mentally, physically, like having my own physical place. Like, this is my first place I've had on my own in like 5 years. And I needed to create this in terms of how I wanted to live. I know most of you would say, well, right now you just have a couch in the back with no other decorations in there. But everything I have is because I have created it myself. I didn't rely on anybody to help me get furniture or pay for it. Everything is in myself. But through this, it's also taught me to enjoy the process, the joy of creating what it is that I want, because I haven't found artwork that I really love to put up there. I haven't found the rug or coffee table that I really desire to have, or like the cushions and stuff, because I found the colors that I want, but I haven't been able to find things that truly make me feel alive when I see them and align with what it is that I want to create. And so it's taught me this patience within my own journey. But I digress. But it's like creating your own physical stability, but on all levels having that stability. And so ladies, like, if you don't have your situation with money right, like, you need to get your financial situation in line. Really create stability in all areas of your life, because we can't rely on somebody else taking care of us. We can't rely on somebody coming to save us, because that's the wounded feminine. The wounded feminine is relying on somebody to take care of her, waiting for her knight in shining armor to save her. And trust me, I went through all of that. I wanted him to save me. I wanted him to save me several times, and he said no. Like, I remember asking him for money 2 times in 7 years. And literally one time was $50, the other time was $25, and it created the biggest fights. And when we had broken up, he said, I will never give you any money. Never. He's like, you need to figure this out on your own. And guess what, ladies? I did. Even though at the time when I would ask him for money, it triggered me so much when he would say no. I thought, how could you do this to me? But it was the biggest blessing and the biggest gift that I was given, because it forced me to really look at my financial situation, look at my blocks, and look at where was I still wanting him to save me. Because the divine feminine doesn't need anybody to save her. The divine feminine saved herself. And it's through this dynamic that she has with her divine masculine. And so, ladies, I know that this was a lot, but I just felt like I really wanted to share those things, because I feel like some of you are on the verge of coming into union, and I want you to keep going, Because when you feel it coming in, you know it's coming in. That's the other thing that I hear people say, oh, you're never going to feel it coming in. Are you crazy? I feel everything coming in. I felt this apartment coming in like 2 years before it actually happened. Almost 2 years, like a year and a half. I felt like a new job coming in before it even happened. Like you can feel things energetically, because here's the thing I will tell you. Spirit's wanting me to tell you this, because when you feel something coming in energetically, what happens? Let's say you can feel like you're going to receive something really big. Like let's say you just know that your financial situation is going to change. What comes up for you? A lot of fears, right? Like, oh my God, how this is going to happen? What am I going to do with this? Like all these fears, am I right? When you start to feel it coming in, and it gives you time to work through all of these things. Because when you can feel union energy coming in, number one sign for me, because I've been feeling union energy coming in for, I don't know, like 6 months, I was running. Like I wanted to run. I wanted to be like, like I can't do this. Like I'm not ready yet. Like all these things coming in, you're going to want to run. And it's there for you to be able to heal those aspects of you that are wanting to run. Because guess what? Your twin flame is running from you to show you that you're actually running from yourself as well. And so allow yourself to be led by your masculine. Lean back into that receptive energy, because the feminine receives, and we have to be able to receive this energy and let go of any expectations of how things will unfold. Let go of the control of needing it to be a certain way. Because I will tell you the things that I know about my dynamic that my divine masculine hasn't even told me about, they're completely like different than what I thought logically would happen. And so be open to allowing your divine masculine to surprise you. Be open to allowing the universe to surprise you. And so my friends, I'm just sending you all so much love and light. I know how challenging this journey can be, but I also know how beautiful it can be. And I really hope all of you that are watching this can some way, shape, or form get into that energy of really seeing that this is a beautiful journey. Because it's when you step into that unconditional love, like you're embodying that unconditional love, that's when everything is going to change for you in your life and in your journey. And so please, I would love to hear from you, I should say. Let me know where you're at in your journey. What types of things are you struggling with? Because I'm here to help guide you. And I don't know how to guide you unless if I am being shown by either you or by spirit. And so I want to be able to give you what it is that you're asking for, because I'm here to help, because I've made many, many quote unquote mistakes in my journey, and I don't want you to make the same thing. I want you to be able to take the easier path and really find like this journey to be beautiful. So I want to hear from you. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, so it finds others on the platform that are similar to you and that need to hear this message. But most importantly, hit the subscribe button, because I'm coming with videos and healing anytime that I feel inspired to share. And if I'm not sharing, because it might be because I'm deep in my own inner work, or I just am not feeling inspired to share anything with you at this time. But I don't want you to miss out on that video. If you're wanting to do some work with me, there's a couple different ways. I do offer one-on-one coaching sessions. And then I also do one-on-one energy healing sessions. And starting in December 1st, I'm going to have 2 programs live. And one is called Awaken. It's a one-on-one healing and coaching program for the divine feminines to help you really bring healing to your inner masculine and inner feminine, so you can really start embodying that feminine energy and creating the life that you desire. And then also too, I have Activate Your Sacredness coming. It is a monthly subscription for the divine feminines to be able to hop into this really amazing container where we're going to be doing some healing, we're going to be doing some inner work, We're going to be doing some rituals and things like that, so you can really start healing that part of you, but also connecting to other women that are on the path and wanting to really connect to this part of you. And so I'll leave all the details down below. Well, my friends, I'm sending you all so much love and light, and I'm so honored to be on this path with you, and I'm so proud of you for doing the work that you have done. And until next time.